Have you ever felt a presence in an empty room, a flicker of movement in the corner of your eye, a whisper carried on a wind that has no source? What if I told you that these moments are not mere tricks of the light or figments of a tired mind? What if they are fleeting glimpses into a world that exists parallel to our own, a realm of ancient beings, born of smokeless fire, who walked this earth long before humanity ever drew its first breath? Humanity has always sensed this unseen world. We have given its inhabitants many names: spirits, daivas, demons, archons. But in the sands of ancient Arabia, in the verses of sacred texts, they were known by a name that still carries a tremor of both wonder and fear: the Jinn. They are not simple ghosts or ethereal specters. They are a civilization with tribes, nations, and kingdoms. They possess free will, capable of both immense faith and devastating rebellion. And like any civilization, they have their rulers, their kings. But this is not a journey into simple folklore. This is an exploration into the very nature of shadow, power, and temptation. The stories of their most feared kings are not just tales to frighten children around a campfire. They are profound allegories for the darkness that lurks within the human heart itself. The ancient sages and mystics understood this. From the quiet meditations of a Buddhist monk to the fervent prayers of a desert ascetic, the message is the same. The greatest demons we face are the ones we carry inside. Tonight, we will pull back the veil. We will journey into the lore of the unseen kingdom, not to worship its darkness, but to understand our own. We will speak the names of 3 of its most formidable rulers, figures whose legends are etched in forbidden grimoires and whispered in the oldest of stories. For in understanding their power, their fall, and their influence, we may just learn how to conquer the shadows that seek to rule us all. Join me as we seek the truths hidden in the tales of the 3 most feared Jinn Kings. The story of the unseen world begins not with a king, but with a choice. It begins in a time before time, when the cosmos was young and creation was still unfolding. Allah, the Creator, had fashioned beings from pure light, the angels, who exist in a state of perpetual, unquestioning obedience. He then fashioned beings from a volatile and powerful element: smokeless fire. These were the Jinn, gifted with immense strength, long life, and the heavy burden of free will. For millennia, they were the masters of the earth. They raised magnificent cities of shimmering energy, commanded the winds, and delved into secrets buried in the heart of the world. Among them, one rose higher than all others. His name was not Iblis then, it was Azazil. His devotion was so profound, his worship so sincere, that he was elevated above his kind. He stood in the company of angels, taught them, and was honored in the heavens. He was the pinnacle of what a being of fire could achieve. Then Allah announced a new creation, not of light nor of fire, but of something humble, something earthly: clay. From this clay, he fashioned the first man, Adam. Azazil, the master of fire, looked upon this simple, fragile form and felt not wonder but contempt. He saw weakness, limitation, and soil. The Quran recounts this pivotal moment. When Allah breathed life into Adam and bestowed upon him knowledge the angels did not possess, He commanded all present to prostrate before this new creation, not in worship of Adam, but in obedience to the divine command. The angels, in their perfect submission, fell prostrate immediately. But Azazil remained standing. When questioned by his Lord, his response sealed his fate and defined the nature of evil for all time. "I am better than him," he declared. "You created me from fire, and him from clay." In that single, arrogant sentence, a universe of wisdom was rejected. It was the birth of pride, the original sin from which all others flow. It was the moment Azazil, the honored one, became Iblis, the despaired one. Cast out from grace, he made a vow. He asked not for forgiveness, but for respite, time. Time until the final day, so that he could prove the worthlessness of this clay creation. His mission would no longer be worship, but temptation. His kingdom would be built not on loyalty, but on whispers, doubts, and the very pride that had caused his own downfall. Iblis is the first and most feared king of the jinn, for his rule is not over a physical territory, but over the weaknesses of the human soul. His throne is built upon the arrogance that whispers, "I am better." His scepter is the envy that says, "Why them and not me?" His armies are the insidious thoughts that lead a person away from gratitude and towards despair. The Sufi mystic Rumi offered a profound perspective, suggesting that Iblis's pride was a corruption of a once pure love. He loved God so intensely that he could not bear to bow to anyone else, a love that became so self-centered, it curdled into rebellion. He represents the ultimate spiritual tragedy, the soul that comes so close to the divine light, only to be blinded by its own reflection. He is the eternal adversary in Abrahamic traditions, the Satan, the accuser, whose greatest power lies in making us believe his whispers are our own thoughts. The battle against him is not fought on a cosmic field with swords of light, but in the quiet, desperate moments of choice within every human heart. He is the king of the spiritual abyss, and his only goal is to drag humanity down with him. While Iblis reigns over the internal kingdom of pride and doubt, other Jinn Kings hold dominion over the more visceral, violent passions that plague the world. Among the most feared of these is Al-Malik al-Ahmar, the Red King. His very name evokes images of fire, blood, and unrestrained fury. Ancient grimoires and texts on angelology and demonology, such as the famed Shams al-Ma'arif, describe him as a mighty ruler associated with the planet Mars and the third day of the week, Tuesday, a day historically linked to conflict and war, named for the Roman god of war himself. The Red King is the embodiment of chaos unleashed. Where Iblis works through subtle temptation and intellectual arrogance, al-Ahmar's influence is said to be raw, brutal, and immediate. He is the patron of warlords, the whisperer in the ear of tyrants, the force that turns righteous anger into bloodthirsty rage. His element is fire, not the smokeless flame of creation, but a destructive, consuming inferno. His legions are the spirits of strife, discord, and violence. It is said that those who fall under his sway are filled with a burning hatred, an insatiable desire for conflict, and a blindness to reason and compassion. They see enemies everywhere and believe that the only solution is destruction. The wisdom of the Stoic philosophers provides a powerful lens through which to understand the domain of the Red King. The Roman sage Seneca, in his treatise On Anger, wrote, "No plague has cost the human race more." He described anger as a brief insanity, a passion that overtakes reason, floods the soul, and leaves nothing but ruin in its wake. He could have been describing the very essence of Al-Malik al-Ahmar. The kingdom of the Red King is this state of brief insanity made manifest. It is the mob that turns to lynching, the nation that rushes headlong into a senseless war, the individual who, in a moment of uncontrolled rage, shatters their own life and the lives of others. His power lies in his ability to exploit the most primal parts of the human brain, bypassing our capacity for empathy and reflection. His stories in folklore often involve pacts made by warriors seeking invincibility or rulers lusting for conquest. They are given immense power on the battlefield, only to find that the fire of war consumes them entirely. They win their battles but lose their humanity, becoming empty vessels for the Red King's destructive will. This archetype is universal. In Hindu lore, One might see echoes of him in the wrathful aspects of certain asuras, beings locked in eternal conflict with the devas. In Zoroastrianism, the spirit of Eshma, or wrath, serves a similar role as a driver of violence and chaos. The lesson of the Red King is a stark and timeless one. The external wars we wage upon the world are almost always a reflection of an internal war we have lost within ourselves. He is a king who offers the illusion of power through destruction, but his true price is the soul itself, burned to ash in the fires of unrestrained hatred. If Iblis is the king of pride and al-Ahmar the king of wrath, our third feared ruler holds dominion over a darker, quieter, and perhaps more insidious realm, the kingdom of sorrow, secrecy, and forbidden knowledge. He is known as Maymun Abu Nuh, a powerful king often associated in esoteric traditions with the planet Saturn and the day of Saturday. Saturn, in ancient astrology, has always been the planet of limitations, melancholy, burdens, and the slow, grinding passage of time. And so, Maymun is a king who rules not through fire and fury, but through weight and shadow. His name itself is a paradox. Maymun can mean fortunate or blessed, a grimly ironic title for a being associated with such heavy energies. He is often depicted as an elder, a somber figure cloaked in black, embodying the wisdom that comes from immense suffering but also the despair that can accompany it. His domain is not the battlefield, but the crumbling ruin, the lonely tower, the alchemist's laboratory where pacts are made in the dead of night. He is the patron of the necromancer, the sorcerer who seeks power over life and death, and the melancholic scholar who delves so deep into forbidden lore that they lose their connection to the light. The story of Maymun is the story of the Faustian bargain. It is the tale of anyone who, out of desperation, sorrow, or a lust for power, seeks knowledge that humanity was not meant to possess. He offers secrets, the ability to speak with the dead, to find buried treasure, to bind lesser spirits to one's will. But the price for his knowledge is a piece of one's soul. His influence creeps in during moments of profound grief or hopelessness, whispering that there is a shortcut, a hidden path to getting what you've lost. He preys on the belief that the material world and its secrets hold more value than the spiritual world and its truths. This archetype resonates deeply across cultures. We see him in the Greek myth of Prometheus, who stole fire, divine knowledge, for humanity and was punished with eternal torment. We see him in the countless stories of scholars and kings who sought the elixir of life, only to find that in cheating death, they had lost everything that made life worth living. The Buddhist scriptures speak of the hungry ghosts, beings trapped in a state of insatiable craving and misery, a perfect description of the spiritual state of Maymun's subjects. They are forever seeking but never finding fulfillment. The true fear of Maymun lies not in his power to destroy, but in his power to corrupt from within. He turns the noble pursuit of knowledge into a hollow obsession. He turns the natural process of grief into a festering wound of despair. He offers power, but it is the power of chains, binding his followers to the material world and its sorrows. He teaches that the ends justify the means, a poison that has seeped into the heart of humanity time and time again. To overcome the King of Sorrows is not to fight him with fire, but to meet his darkness with the light of faith, acceptance, and the understanding that true wisdom lies not in bending the universe to our will, but in surrendering our will to the divine harmony of the universe. He is the king of the lonely and the lost, and his greatest victory is convincing a soul that it is utterly and eternally alone. The tales of Iblis, al-Ahmar, and Maymun, the kings of pride, wrath, and sorrow, are more than just ancient myths. They are a spiritual map of our own inner landscape. They are the archetypes of the great tests that every soul must face on its journey. Iblis represents the test of the ego. Will we see ourselves as the center of our own universe, or as a humble part of a divine creation? Al-Ahmar is the test of passion. Will we master our emotions, or will we become slaves to the fires of our anger and hatred? And Maymun is the test of spirit. Will we seek fulfillment in the fleeting secrets and sorrows of the material world, or in the eternal truths of the soul? These beings, whether you see them as literal entities or as powerful psychological symbols, hold up a mirror to humanity. The corruption that the angels once feared would be repeated on earth by Adam's descendants was not just about physical bloodshed, but about this deep, internal spiritual corruption. For what is a war but the pride of Iblis and the rage of al-Ahmar, made manifest through armies? What is a society consumed by greed and materialism, but a kingdom bowing to the shadowy promises of Maymun? The great sages understood that the path to enlightenment, to salvation, to inner peace, is the path of conquering these inner kings. The Buddha taught that the root of all suffering is attachment and craving, the very currency of Maymun's realm. Jesus, in the desert, faced the temptations of Satan, who offered him worldly power, the kingdom of al-Ahmar, and glory, the pride of Iblis, and rejected them all. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that the greatest jihad, the greatest struggle, is not against an external enemy, but against the self, the nafs. It is a lifelong battle to dethrone these inner tyrants and to place God alone on the throne of the heart. This is the practical, spiritual core of these seemingly dark tales. When you feel the hot flush of anger rising, recognize it as the shadow of the Red King and choose the cooling waters of patience. When the whisper of arrogance tells you that you are better, more righteous, or more knowledgeable than another, recognize the voice of Iblis and choose the grounding force of humility. And when the heavy cloak of sorrow and despair descends, threatening to pull you into a search for dark and easy answers, recognize the hand of Maymun and choose the radiant light of hope and faith. We are not meant to fear these shadows, but to face them, understand them, and overcome them with their divine opposites: humility, compassion, and hope. Thus, our journey through the unseen kingdom comes to a close, but the true journey, the one within, has only just been illuminated. We have walked the shadowy courts of Iblis, the king of pride. We have felt the burning rage of Al-Malik, al-Ahmar, the king of wrath, and we have sat in the somber halls of Maymun, the king of sorrows. We have seen that these ancient figures are not distant monsters from a forgotten age. They are the names we give to the timeless struggles that rage within every human soul. Their stories serve as a warning, but also as a guide. They remind us that the greatest darkness is not that which lies outside of us, but that which we allow to take root within. But let this not be a message of fear. Let it be one of profound empowerment. For in every story of a great shadow, there is an even greater light. The existence of these kings does not prove the power of evil, but rather highlights the immense sacred value of our choices. To choose humility in the face of pride, to choose peace in the face of wrath, to choose hope in the face of despair. This is the purpose of our spiritual quest. This is how we build a kingdom of light within ourselves that no shadow can ever conquer. The universe is not a chaotic battlefield between equal forces. It is a divine creation, and light, truth, and mercy are its foundation. Darkness is not a substance, but merely the absence of that light. And it is our sacred duty, as bearers of a divine spark, to bring that light into every corner of our own hearts. If this reflection touched your heart and expanded your understanding, join our community for more journeys in search of the truth hidden in history and the human soul. In our channel, we explore the great questions of life, from the mysteries of ancient civilizations to the timeless wisdom of the saints and sages. We believe that the wisdom we revive from ancestral sources can strengthen your spirit and serve the cause of light in the world. Your support is vital. We ask that you subscribe, share, like, and comment. This helps us to reach more seekers of truth. Your feedback inspires us and helps shape the future of our journey together. May peace and light be with all of you. May we find wisdom and strength in our journey, and may we always choose the path that leads back to the divine source. Until the next video.